Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Mel Kinsey, who's retired. His specialist subject is the astronaut Neil Armstrong. Jenny Armitage, a music teacher. Her subject, Shakespeare's comedies. Darren Ross, a senior hardware engineer, whose subject is the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. And Gaynor Melling, a carer, who will be answering questions on Mary Tortel's cartoon creation, Rupert Bear. The world's most famous chair will provide temporary accommodation tonight for 4 Mastermind contenders, but only one of them will be allowed to take up residency again in the semi-finals. Who will it be? 2 minutes on their specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge will decide, and good luck to one and all. So, can I ask our first contender to join us, please? Your name?
Mel Kinsey.
Your occupation?
I'm retired.
And your specialist subject?
Neil Armstrong.
The test pilot and astronaut who commanded NASA's Apollo 11 mission in 1969 and became the first man to walk on the moon. In 2 minutes, starting now. Neil A. Armstrong was born in Wapakoneta, Ohio, on the 5th of August, 1930. The initial A standing for what middle name?
Alden.
Yes, Armstrong learned to fly from the age of 15 when he took lessons at a local airfield aboard which model of light aircraft made by the Aeronca Company?
The Apache.
No, Champion. During the Korean War, Armstrong served in Fighter Squadron 51, a unit based on which aircraft carrier that sailed into action in June 1951?
The USS Essex.
Yes, after Korea, Armstrong returned to university and began a relationship with a fellow student, Janet Sharon, whom he married in 1956. In which village in Illinois?
Brockton.
No, Wilmette. In 1962, Armstrong was sent to which Air Force base in San Antonio to undergo strenuous tests to determine whether or not he was astronaut material?
Edwards Air Force Base?
No, Brooks Air Force Base. On Armstrong's first space flight aboard Gemini 8 in 1966, which astronaut accompanied him on the mission?
Dave Scott.
Yes, when Armstrong was selected to be an astronaut on the Gemini program, he and his new colleagues were instructed by NASA to check into the Rice Hotel in Houston using what pseudonym to avoid attracting attention?
Thompson.
No, Max Peck. Among a number of items that Armstrong chose to take on the mission to the moon were fragments of which historic aircraft, including a piece of its propeller?
Wright Brothers Flyer.
Yes, Wright Flyer. As soon as the lunar module of Apollo 11 touched down on the moon on the 20th of July, 1969, Armstrong relayed the news to Mission Control, giving the landing site what 2-word name?
Tranquility Base.
Yes, to promote his official biography in 2005, Armstrong gave a rare interview to which CBS News magazine program billed as the first television profile the moonwalker has ever agreed to do.
24 hours.
No, it was 60 minutes. And Mel, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 5 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Jenny Armitage.
Your occupation?
Music teacher.
And your specialist subject?
Shakespeare's comedies.
In 2 minutes, starting now. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, what's the name of the mischievous sprite, alternatively known as Robin Goodfellow, who serves the fairy king Oberon?
Puck.
Yes, the song that begins, "Who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her," is performed by Thurio's musicians in which play?
Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Yes, in The Taming of the Shrew, Kate, the shrew of the title, hits her sister's suitor, Hortensio, over the head with what musical instrument, which he's been trying to teach her to play? Yes, it's a lute. The pageant performed in the final scene of Love's Labour's Lost, amid much arguing and heckling, depicts some of the famous men from classical times and the Bible, known as the 9 what?
Worthies.
Yes, in As You Like It, what's the name of the character of whom Duke Senior says he uses his folly like a stalking horse, and under the presentation of that, he shoots his wit?
Jax.
No, Touchstone. In the Comedy of Errors, what's the name of Aegean's wife who's believed to have been lost in a storm at sea?
Emilia.
Yes, in Twelfth Night. To what imaginary authority does the clown Festi attribute the saying, better a witty fool than a foolish wit?
Pass.
In The Merry Wives of Windsor, what's the name of the tree in Windsor Park to which Falstaff is lured at midnight to be given his comeuppance for trying to seduce Mistress Ford and Mistress Page?
The Hanging Tree.
No, Hearn's Oak. In Love's Labour's Lost, what's the name of the comic character who uses a 27-letter word, the longest in the works of Shakespeare, to mock a pedantic schoolteacher?
Costard.
Yes, which of Don Pedro's attendants is prevailed upon to sing the song Sigh No More, Ladies, Sigh No More in Much Ado About Nothing?
Balthazar.
Yes, the action of All's Well That Ends Well moves mainly between Roussillon, Paris and Florence, but one brief scene, Act 5, Scene 1, takes place in which southern French city?
Marseille.
Yes, in The Two Gentlemen of Verona. What's the name of Proteus's clownish servant who is the owner of a smelly dog called Crab?
Lawrence.
Yes, in The Play Within a Play, near the end of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which character portrays the wall? I've started, so I'll finish. And is described by Demetrius as the wittiest partition that ever I heard discourse.
Snout.
It is Tom Snout. Just the one pass, Jenny. In Twelfth Night, to what imaginary authority does the clown Festi attribute the saying, better a witty fool than a foolish wit? Quinapalos. And at the end of that round, Jenny, you've got 10 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Darren Ross.
Your occupation?
Senior hardware engineer.
And your specialist subject?
The Jacobite Rebellion of 1745.
Yes, the attempt by the 24-year-old Bonnie Prince Charlie to rally the Highland clans and put his father, the Old Pretender, on the thrones of Great Britain and Ireland. In 2 minutes, starting now. What was the name of the French ship on which Charles Edward Stuart sailed to Scotland to begin his campaign to reclaim the British throne in July 1745?
The Dutelle.
Yes. When Stuart landed on the Scottish Isle of Eriskay on the 23rd of July to begin his campaign, he was disguised as a member of what profession?
A priest.
Yes, clergyman. Which widow, a supporter of the Jacobite cause who entertained Stuart on his arrival at Blair Castle, was described by one unimpressed onlooker as behaving like a light gigglet or giddy girl?
Lady Lude.
Yes. What was the name of the mill in the village of Slateford where Stuart lodged while he waited for his forces to take possession of
Gray's
Edinburgh?
Mill.
Yes, it was Gray's Mill. Which colonel was mortally wounded at the Battle of Prestonpans, not far from his home at Bankton House, when the dragoons under his command were routed by the Jacobites on the 21st of September, 1745?
James Gardner.
Yes. Which river did Stuart cross with his army on the 8th of November to set foot on English soil for the first time?
The River Esk.
Yes. Which Edinburgh newspaper was sympathetic in its coverage of the 1745 rebellion because of the pro-Jacobite leanings of its proprietor, the classical scholar Thomas Ruddiman?
The Caledonian Mercury.
Yes, in November 1745, at which Scottish town did Lord John Drummond land with a force of several hundred men in the service of France?
Montrose.
Yes, at which battle on the 18th of December 1745 did a Jacobite rearguard under Lord George Murray hold off an attack by Hanoverian forces?
Clifton Moor.
Yes, at which residence, the home of the chiefs of Clan Mackintosh, did Stuart narrowly evade capture in February 1746, when enterprising servants drove off a force of 1,500 Hanoverians?
Moy Hall.
Yes, which French nobleman, the official envoy to the Jacobite army, begged Stuart on bended knee not to give battle at Culloden, but instead to fall back on the Highlands?
Alexander de Boyer.
Yes, at Culloden, the MacDonald regiments formed the left flank of the Jacobite front line under the command of which titular duke?
Kinloch Moidart.
No, the Duke of Perth. And Darren, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 11 points. And our final contender, please. Your name?
Gaynor Melling.
And your occupation?
Carer.
And your specialist subject?
Rupert Bear.
The magical adventures of the friendly little bear who lives in Nutwood. In 2 minutes, starting now. Rupert first featured in the Daily Express newspaper on the 8th of November 1920 in a story by his creator, Mary Tortel, that then had what 3-word title?
The Little Lost Bear.
Yes. What was the name of the character's fan club founded by the Daily Express in 1932, which proved so successful that it ended up costing the newspaper £3,000 a week to run?
The Rupert League.
Yes. What was the name of the publishing company that produced the Little Bear Library series of pocket-sized books featuring Rupert from 1928?
Samson Lone Marston.
Yes, Alfred Bessel, who took over the cartoon strip on Mary Tortel's retirement in 1935, was born in 1892 in which Asian city?
Hong Kong.
No, Mandalay. In Rupert and the Tiny Flute, the imps of spring rescue Rupert's friend Podgy Pig from an old mine by fashioning a rope out of what material?
Cobwebs.
Yes, in Rupert and Dinky, the trio of Nutwood Girl guides have the first names Beryl, Janet and what?
Pauline.
Yes, Stanley Marshall, who was an influential figure in the development of the cartoon strip during the 1930s and 40s, used what pen name for his work as editor of the Junior Express newspaper page?
Uncle Bill.
Yes, in Rupert and the Lost Cuckoo, Rupert realises that the missing wooden cuckoo has returned to the family cuckoo clock when it strikes which hour?
1.
No, 4. In Rupert's rainy adventure, what item does Rupert use as an oar when he and Pompey, the baby elephant, are stranded in floodwater in a bath?
An umbrella.
Yes, from 1962 to 1975. The rhyming couplets that complement the Rupert cartoon strip were written by which former midwife, who has been described as one of the great unsung heroes of the Rupert story?
Marjorie Owens.
No, Muriel Willer. In Rupert and Raggety, the spiky woodland creature Raggety causes chaos in Rupert's home by stealing Mr. Bear's pipe and uprooting which of Mrs. Bear's flowering plants?
Hyacinth.
Yes, in Rupert and Jack Frost, what's the name of the type of pill that Jack gives to Rupert to help him keep out the cold?
Icicle pill.
It is an icicle pill. And Gaynor, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 9 points.
Thank you.
And at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 5 points, it's Mel. In 3rd place with 9 points, it's Gaynor. In 2nd place with 10 points sits Jenny. And in 1st place with 11 points, it's Darren. So now the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account. And the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Mel to join us again, please. So, Mel, you start with 5 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now. In a standard pack of playing cards, the symbol for which one of the 4 suits is a 4-sided geometric shape?
Diamond.
Yes. The phrase, to boldly go, is often quoted as an example of a construction held by some to be grammatically incorrect, known as a split what?
Metaphor.
No, infinitive. What dessert, nowadays made from milk and corn flour, has a name derived from the French for white food?
Pass.
What's the professional name of the British singer born Jocelyn Stoker, who, at the age of just 17, topped the UK albums chart in 2004 with Mind, Body and Soul?
Adele.
No, Joss Stone. Lake Mead, a large reservoir in the southwestern United States, was created by the construction of which dam?
At the Hoover Dam.
Yes. What's the full name of the Worcestershire cricketer and member of the 2019 World Cup winning England team who was made an OBE in the 2022 Queen's Birthday Honours List?
Moeen Ali.
Yes. In computing, USB technology was introduced in the mid-1990s to connect peripheral devices. The abbreviation USB stands for Universal Serial what?
Boss.
No, bus. Which Swedish author wrote the 2005 novel, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Oh, it's gone. Sorry, pass.
The Flower Duet and the Bell Song both feature in which opera by Leo Delibes?
The Pearl Fishers.
No, Lacme. In 2016, Sandy Toksvig succeeded Stephen Fry as the host of what television panel show?
QI.
Yes, collar point, tortoiseshell and tabby are among the distinguishing coat patterns of which domestic animal?
Cat.
Yes, in the 2000 film Gladiator, which British actor had some of his scenes completed using CGI after his sudden death during filming?
Oliver Reed.
Yes, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the 3rd holiest site in Islam, is in which Middle Eastern city?
Cairo.
No, Jerusalem. The conflict between Britain and Spain, which began in 1739 after a British merchant, Robert Jenkins, alleged that he was injured by Spanish authorities, became known as the War of Jenkins' what?
Ear.
Yes, what's the name of the politician and barrister who in 2020 was appointed as the Attorney General for England and Wales and Advocate General for Northern Ireland?
Pass.
The title of what play by Anton Chekhov is a nickname for the character whose real first names are Ivan Petrovich?
Uncle Vanya.
Yes, Constantine II was the king of which European country until the abolition of its monarchy in 1973?
Greece.
It was Greece. So, Mel, you had 3 passes. The politician and barrister who became Attorney General for England and Wales, Suella Braverman. Stieg Larsson, of course, Swedish author of the novel The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and the French for white food, the dessert nowadays made from milk and cornflour, blancmange. Oh. And at the end of that round, Mel, you've got 14 points.
Thank you.
And next up, let's have Gaynor again, please. So, Gaynor, you start with 9 points. The score to beat, as it stands, is 14 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now. Insomnia is the inability to do what?
Sleep.
Yes. What's the first name of the EastEnders character, a member of the Mitchell family, who first appeared in 1990 and is played by Steve McFadden?
Phil.
Yes. Which element with the atomic number 35 and chemical symbol Br has a name derived from a Greek word meaning stench?
Pass.
Dora Spenlow and Agnes Wickfield are the first and second wives, respectively, of which title character in a novel by Charles Dickens?
David Copperfield.
Yes, in February 2022, which country won its first Africa Cup of Nations football tournament, beating Egypt on penalties in the final?
Cameroon.
No, Senegal. What abbreviated form of a Latin term meaning according to pleasure is used in English to refer to the improvisation of a theatrical performance without any preparation?
Pass.
In British music notation, the letters used to identify the notes go from A to which letter?
E.
No, G. What tree, sometimes known as golden chain or golden rain because of its bright yellow flowers, has 2 species, the common and the alpine, all parts of which are poisonous to humans?
Laburnum.
Yes. What word for a large stately tomb is derived from the name of an ancient king of Caria, known for his tomb at Halicarnassus in modern-day Turkey?
Mortuary.
No, mausoleum. The Mackenzie River in Canada flows for more than 1,100 miles before emptying into which sea?
Bering Sea.
No, the Beaufort Sea. From 1992 to 2015, the actress Glenda Jackson served as an MP representing which political party?
Labour.
Yes, the songs Rubber Bullets and I'm Not in Love were UK #1 singles in the 1970s for which British group?
10cc.
Yes, in the human skeleton, what's the name of the long bone in the upper arm?
Humerus.
Yes. What's the surname of the title character played by Will Smith in the 2021 film King Richard, based on the real-life story of a man who coached 2 of his daughters to become professional tennis players?
Williams.
Yes. Bourbon whiskey is named after a county in which US state?
Kentucky.
Yes. Which royal residence was the home of the Queen Mother from 1953 until her death in 2002, when it was
Sandringham.
refurbished to become the official London residence of the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall? It's Clarence House. The title of a television series set in the late 1950s and early 60s about a New York housewife who pursues a career in stand-up comedy. What adjective describes the lead character, Mrs. Maisel?
Amazing.
No, marvellous. Which London theatre, I've started, so I'll finish, opened in 1818, was originally known as the Royal Coburg Theatre?
Victoria Theatre.
No, the Old Vic. And Gaynor, you had 2 passes. What abbreviated form of a Latin term meaning according to pleasure is used in English to refer to the improvisation of a theatrical performance? Ad lib.
Ad lib, of course.
Yes, and bromine is the element with the atomic number 35 and chemical symbol Br. And at the end of that round, Gaynor, you've got 18 points.
Thank you.
Next up is Jenny. So, Jenny, you start with 10 points. The score to beat as it stands is 18 points, and you've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now, the shiny substance consisting of a form of calcium carbonate that lines the shells of certain mollusks and is used in jewellery is commonly known as mother of what?
Pearl.
Yes, what word borrowed from Italian and literally meaning master is especially used for skilled musicians, composers or conductors?
Maestro.
Yes, in a 2007 children's film starring Jason Lee, the animated singing trio Alvin, Simon and Theodore are what type of rodent?
Chipmunks.
Yes, what Hebrew word for institute is the name of the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service?
Pass.
In the 2022 television miniseries Pam and Tommy, the Baywatch star Pamela Anderson is played by which British actress?
Kelly Lynch.
No, Lily James. In a famous poem of 1819, John Keats describes which season of the year as the close bosom friend of the maturing sun?
Summer.
No, autumn. Which American singer, sometimes called the Queen of Funk, had her first UK hit single in 1978 with I'm Every Woman?
Shania Twain.
No, Chaka Khan. Which painter, born in Dublin in 1909, created a series known as The Screaming Popes, based on a portrait by Velázquez?
Pass.
What term from the Assyrian for height or summit is used in archaeology to refer to a rectangular terraced mound forming part of a temple?
Plinth.
No, ziggurat. In humans and other primates, which digit on the hand is described in anatomy as opposable, meaning that it allows us to grip objects?
Thumb.
Yes, what's the name of the public square in Moscow that was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1990?
Kremlin Square.
No, Red Square. The video game franchise launched in 1986 in which players assume the role of various incarnations of a character called Link is entitled The Legend of whom?
Zelda.
Yes, which motor racing circuit on the site of a former airfield in Northamptonshire hosted the first Formula One World Championship race in May 1950?
Silverstone.
Yes, when she married into the British royal family in 1978, Baroness Marie Christine von Reibnitz became known by what official title?
Duchess of Kent.
No, Princess Michael of Kent. What term derived from a French word meaning swiftness is used in physics to refer to the speed of a body in a specified direction?
Pass.
The 2021 book, Windswept and Interesting, is the autobiography of which comedian and actor born in Glasgow in 1942?
Billy Connolly.
Yes, what metallic-sounding name was coined by Mussolini for the political and military alliance between Italy and Germany, signed in May 1939, formalizing the Rome-Berlin Axis Agreement made 3 years earlier?
Access.
No, it's the Pact of Steel. Jenny, you had 3 passes. The term derived from a French word meaning swiftness, used in physics to refer to the speed of a body, velocity. Francis Bacon was the Dublin-born painter, created the series known as The Screaming Popes. And the Hebrew word for institute, name of the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, it's Mossad. And at the end of that round, Jenny, you've now got 17 points.
Thank you.
And finally, let's have Darren again. Darren, you start with 11 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is gainers 18 points. And you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now, the alcoholic drink cider is most commonly made using what fruit?
Apples.
Yes, the musician Adam Clayton rose to fame as the bass guitarist in which chart-topping Irish rock group?
U2.
Yes, what's the name of the prominent politician who first entered Parliament in 2001 when he succeeded Michael Heseltine as MP for Henley-on-Thames, a constituency he represented until 2008?
Boris Johnson.
Yes, in which team sport is a match divided into periods of play called chukkers, each typically lasting for 7 minutes?
Polo.
Yes, what word for a pale shade of yellowish brown is also the term for a young deer in its first year?
Fallow.
No, fawn. The letters OM after a person's name indicate membership of what British honorary institution founded in 1902 by Edward VII?
Pass.
The Ostwald process, named after the Nobel Prize-winning chemist Wilhelm Ostwald, is used to manufacture which acid?
Ascorbic acid.
No, nitric acid. Immediately before the introduction of the euro, the escudo was the basic unit of currency of which European country?
Portugal.
Yes, which American actor made his directorial debut with the 1971 thriller Play Misty for Me, in which he also starred as a radio DJ called Dave Garver?
Chuck Norris.
No, Clint Eastwood. What was the real first name of the Argentine revolutionary known as Che Guevara?
Angelo Lassini.
No, Ernesto. The chefs Tom Kerridge and Nisha Katona, as well as the comedian Ed Gamble, formed the new judging panel for the 2022 series of which competitive cookery television show?
The Great British Menu.
Yes. What conical granite peak, around 1,300 feet high and overlooking Rio de Janeiro, can be reached by cable car from the adjacent Urca Hill?
Sugarloaf Mountain.
Yes. What name derived from a Latin verb meaning to cut is given to the two pairs of sharp teeth in humans at the front of each jaw?
Incisors.
Yes. In the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell, what's the surname of the man who owns Manor Farm at the beginning of the book?
Williams.
No, Jones. Which city in southern England has a cathedral dedicated to the Holy Trinity, St. Peter and St. Paul and St. Swithin?
Chichester.
No, Winchester. The jukebox musical entitled Beautiful, which ran in London's West End from 2015 to 2017, is based on the life and career of which American singer?
Diana Ross.
No, Carole King. The Greek god of wine, Dionysus, was known to the Romans by what Latin name?
Diana.
No, Bacchus. What's the two-word term for the nominated member, I've started to our finish, of the US president's cabinet who doesn't attend official functions in order to assume the leadership in the event of other successors being incapacitated?
Spare man.
No, designated survivor. And Darren, you had just the one pass. The letters OM after a person's name indicate membership of the Order of Merit. And at the end of that round, Darren, you've done it by a whisker, a total of 19 points. So let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 14 points, it's Mel. In third place with 17 points, it's Jenny. In second place with 18 points, it's Gaynor. And in first place with 19 points sits Darren, which means he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. If you would like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us as ever at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
This is my first time on a TV quiz show, so to come on Mastermind and actually won the heat is just, I'm over the moon about that.
And your specialist subject?
The Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. I chose that subject because obviously it's largely centred on the Highlands and it was essentially the end of the Highland culture, and being from the Highlands myself, it's something that I was aware of growing up.
You've done it by a whisker, a total of 19 points.
I think my wife will probably be quite proud of me, and my family up on the Highlands will probably be just as shocked as I am, I think.